Welcome to the Augusta Sports Report, hosted by Chad Cook. For more information on what we talked about today, visit augustasportsreport.com.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Augusta Sports Report. I'm Chad Cook. Today we're flipping the format and going straight to our guest at the beginning. Our guest is Dip Mitras, longtime coach of Augusta University men's basketball. He needs no introduction. We talk about his team every week on the show. We lead off with it in most cases. I always call it the best basketball in town. Dip, thank you for joining us today.
Appreciate you having me, and hopefully we keep gaining supporters with our program.
Yes, now it's well worth the support. The team is 9-0, ranked number 8 in Division II in the national rankings, been climbing the rankings ever since the first edition this season. I think we were 16 in the first edition. So, before we start talking about the team, we're going to talk about the coming Peach Belt Conference play. We're going to talk about the incredible, performance so far, whether it be point differential, field goal percentage, opponents' field goal percentage, individual players and their statistics. There's a ton to talk about this current team. But before we do that, Dip, for anybody who's watching who doesn't know your story, let's get into that. My knowledge of your story starts as a Belmont Abbey basketball player, but let's have you start where you want to start and educate everybody about your background.
Oh, that goes back quite a few years. So in 1984, I played in the Beach Ball Classic in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, for W.T. Woodson, probably the second or third year of the Beach Ball Classic, and played very well. And Coach Bryant was the assistant coach at Clemson, and he had went to Belmont Abbey, so he called the coach at Belmont Abbey, Eddie Payne, to come see me. Fast forward that, I played there for 4 years, had a successful career. At the end of my career, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Well, let's try this college coaching thing. So I started out at Newberry College, making $1,500 for the year, $137.50 a month after taxes. I remember that check. And just started this venture into coaching, was there at Newberry, and came worked at Augusta for 6 years, and got the opportunity to go to Hampton University in the Tidewater for a year in their first year of Division I basketball. And I was there for a year. Then the Belmont Abbey job opened up, and took the job at 29 years old, and people called it professional suicide. We weren't any good then. The program was kind of a mess, but was there for 8 years. And then when the Augusta job opened up, came back this way because I felt we could sustain success a little bit better at Augusta due to the facility in the town. And I'm very fortunate. I think it's year 26 as a head coach, and it's been a wild venture. It's an enjoyable thing. I love what I do, and it's just something special to be able to be a college basketball coach.
Greater than 500 wins. Last year when you were approaching that mark, I remember very few coaches, active or otherwise, had reached that milestone. And the ones that had, almost to a number, had been coaching a lot longer than you. And so, in every way you slice it, it's an incredible accomplishment, the consistent winning over time. So they call that career suicide when you're 29.
Yeah.
29 head coaching. That's something.
Yeah, it was very unusual. I was 29 years old. I got the opportunity, at a place I went to school, and I really didn't know what I was doing, to be honest with you. I just knew that you better recruit. I wasn't as good as coach because I didn't have experience. And I've always, as my years progress, I've looked at coaches that have had longevity, not to compare myself to the guys at a higher level, but if you've been doing this a long time, you're doing something right. You do some things wrong on occasion, but you're doing something right on a daily basis. And I'll throw back an old name, John Chaney at Temple. He was a kind of a gruffy guy, a Philadelphia guy, was at Chaney and then went to Temple and just kind of stayed at Temple. And I wasn't a guy looking to move around a lot in my career just because I want to coach. And when you coach, you just want to coach a better player than you coached the year before. So I was at Belmont Abbey. We were able to get some good players, but we weren't able to get really good ones every year. We had to develop them. So I came to Augusta because of the situation. I felt like I coach a higher level player, and been very, very fortunate enough to coach some really good players. And my brother's a great high school coach. He's still doing it. He won last night. He's 3-0 with a makeshift team. And so I enjoy what I do, and it's fun. It's fun. It's not easy, but it's fun. And like I said, it's a really hard profession to stay in. I look back to the years last night when I went recruiting. a guy, Montevallo, was supposed to meet me in the game, but he didn't. He coached against me at Belmont Abbey. The athletic director of Georgia Southwestern was there, who coached against me at Belmont Abbey. Robert Moore from Columbus couldn't make it over. Robert, I remember. So there's, as you get older, you start looking around. There's not many of us that are still doing what we do.
Yeah, while you were taking us through that, you mentioned Coach Bryant saw you at the Beach Ball Classic. That's Clint Bryant, the athletic director. Yes. You're the head coach while you were the assistant coach at Augusta College at the time. And then you say Eddie Payne. He told Eddie Payne to recruit you. He's a longtime, South Carolina and many other Division I teams. And then guys like Kevin Eastman and Greg Marshall are contacts from the old Belmont Abbey days. Yeah. The relationships, your Rolodex must be pretty thick.
All relationships. I mean, it's all relationships. So last night at the junior college game I was at, the guy coaching the team lived with Robbie 20 years ago in junior college. So here I am at a junior college game in Georgia, texting Robbie in Australia or WhatsApping him. This stuff has changed so much during the year. I remember when I was at Belmont Abbey toward the end of my career that somebody printed something off the internet and brought it on their visit. I was like, wow, what is this? So, I mean, it has changed so much. But when it gets down to it, really, it's still, you got to get good kids who love to play the game of basketball. And, I'm not the easiest guy in the world to play for. And there were times in practice I'll walk by a player and I'll say, is it that hard? And Darren Lucas White says, if you like basketball, it really isn't that hard, but you got to like what you do. And it's challenging at times, but like I said, I've been very fortunate to coach a lot of great players. You mentioned Robbie, your former assistant. He was with you during, a run that people still talk about today, a run that I think you'll still reproduce one day. Let's talk real quick before we get into the current Jags about that. It was roughly 2007 to 2011. Tell us about the journey you went through. Yeah, I'll go back. So I got the job, 17 years ago. We had 3 returning players. Jason Mills, Clarence Brown, and Dean Brebner. And I said, whoa, what am I getting myself into? And we signed 8 guys and took some guys that nobody really wanted, and Garrett Seiler developed, and A.J. Bowman developed. And so year 3, we host a regional tournament. We lose in the semifinals to Wingate. And then the next year we win the regionals and we go on. And we were very lucky to have a succession of players. Ben Magin was told to me about a former player of mine at Belmont Abbey. He said, hey, I got a mate that's a good player wants to come over. So it is so much about relationships. And we're very fortunate to have a great run during that time. And it's very hard to sustain. 7-footers don't grow on trees. A.J. Bowman don't develop all the time. Ben Magin's come along. It's Fred Brathwaite, Alex. I mean, I've had a lot. Daniel Dixon. So I've just been very fortunate to coach a lot of great players. And the ability to sustain success. One of the things I always joke, you get to a point during the season, if you have 28 regular season games, at game 15, if you won game 15, you have a winning season, okay? And people don't, wow, you always have a winning season. No, you're not, okay? So I got this from Gonzaga, Mark You're Field. Pretty close, though. Yeah, we've had a year. Elizabeth will say is when she was born, okay, when my daughter was born. So my first 2 years as head coach, we did not have a winning season. Ever since then, we had a winning season. And it's hard to get to 15 years. Goodness, great. 26 years. So that'd be 24 straight years of winning season. Wow. Yeah. Wow. So, or 23, whatever the number is. So you get to that point, and I'll text Jamie, I'll text Jay Newberry, I'll text Robbie, I'll text Gannon Baker. Hey, man, we got another winning season. So that's really, really hard to do. You go from winning season, you can't get to a championship until you have a winning season. I mean, so it's hard to get to 15 and 13 every year. So, but like I said, great players and great assistants. So, you said we had some success. That group went all the way to the Division II national championship game one year, and then the next year it went to the Final Four, and then the next year it went to the Elite Eight, and the next year it went to the Sweet 16. Those are all incredible accomplishments. We look at, if we fast forward a little bit, we look at the team now. 2 years ago, Peach Belt Championship in the I guess it might have been 3 years ago by now, 2018-19, if I'm not mistaken. Peach Belt Championship in the regular season and in the tournament. It was a great team. I look at this team and I can't help but think about that team because some of the players are similar. Darren Lucas White, Tyree Myers, Troy Cracknell, Miguel Arnold were all on that team as freshmen, and then Troy being a sophomore on that team. They're all still with us. We add Tyshawn Crawford. We add guys like Jaquez Curvey and David Vitti and John Whitehead and Timmy Sellers and many others.
the team's 9-0. It's winning by a 27-point differential so far. We're not in conference play yet, shooting 52% from the field, 43% from three. The opponents are shooting 36 and 29%. How do you feel about the current Jaguars?
Yeah, we are a good team. I felt that in the preseason. I go, we have a chance to be good. And you got to keep developing depth. You got to keep developing the whole team. And like ironically, you said, those four guys you mentioned that played at Queens and lost at Queens in the game to go to Elite Eight were on the same bus when we got our NCAA tournament canceled at Lincoln Memorial. We're literally pulling up to our hotel. So they know what winning's about. All four of them, if we didn't have them, we don't win the first game against Aiken and come back, or Francis Marion. I think it was Francis Marion. Yeah. So all four of those guys have played integral parts of this. And then you bring in other guys, and Tyshawn's developed tremendously through the years. Tyshawn hadn't played in the NCAA tournament because he was on the bus when it got canceled. So it's you have to have continuity in your program. You look at our women's volleyball team, had a great run this year because there was continuity in your program, and if she added some pieces to add to it. In the era of everybody wants to talk about transfer portals and all this stuff, it's important, but you got to have a core group of guys. And we're very, very fortunate to have a core group of guys. Troy's been here 5 years. Miguel's been here 5 years. Darren and Tyree have been here 4 years. So, and this is year 3 for Tyshawn. And then, you throw in the COVID thing where guys are getting years back. And some guys we have will be here for 6 years. So it is, you got to have continuity in your program because there's always a game during the year. That year we lost to Queens Elite Eight. We were playing at Flagler, and Flagler wasn't as good as they were now, and we weren't winning, weren't playing well. I just remember turning to my assistant. I said, all I know is Aaron, Tyvez, and Dean are going to stay on the floor because they're playing harder than everybody else. And those three just carried us in the game. I don't know who else played with them. The
three seniors on that Peach Belt Championship squad.
Just they were going to will us to a win, and Aaron was a sub at that time, and but in that game they knew hey, we have to win this game to win the league, and that's where you miss it if you don't have continuity in your program.
So continuity makes me think of of the upcoming games. We got Columbus coming up, the Peach Belt Conference opener on the road Monday next week at 3:30, and then is it New Year's Eve when you go to Emmanuel?
Yep.
Yeah. So and then Emmanuel, your last non-conference opponent, and so continuity. 3 years ago you won the Peach Belt Championship with, like you said, Tyvez Monroe, Aaron. Aaron Bird and Dean Williams as senior leaders, and all these other guys we're talking about as basically freshmen. Troy Cracknell being a sophomore, and so they have that success. They come back the next year as what seem to be veterans, but most of them are really sophomores. Yep. And Troy's starting for the first time, and Tyshawn has transferred from Georgia Southern where he didn't get much playing time. So a real young group in hindsight, and Emmanuel, Education Day, they bank in a three-pointer to beat us at the buzzer. We go to Columbus. It was one of the few games I hate to miss games. I was at the Hawks game, and we're watching you on my phone. My kids and I are watching you on my phone while the Hawks are playing, and we're up 5 with 12 seconds to go in the left-handed guy.
Oh yeah, Preston. That's right. That was the same year. You're right. Threw one in. I forgot about that.
Preston makes 2 threes in the last 12 seconds to beat us, and at that point, if I'm not mistaken, we were 3-3 in conference play.
Yep. And
I think that was the point where you didn't lose again until kind of not a fluke loss, but an upset loss in the conference tournament. So you won something like 10 straight. But again, those guys, they were young then. Yep. Now we take to the road with those guys being 2 years older, Tyshawn being a veteran now. How do you look at this road trip?
Well, ironically, Columbus is very good this year because they have everybody back off last year's team. And COVID destroyed everybody's program, and they added a transfer from Francis Marion, who's a very good player. So Preston, he remembers making that shot against us just as much as we remember him throwing it in. Last year when we played at Lander, Dion threw one in off his back foot and went in. It's going to happen in college basketball, but you hope your returning players know, hey, that possession hurts you, but it's the possessions before, And if I remember correctly, in an Emmanuel game, Darren missed a free throw to kind of put us up, and he remembers that. He missed one last year against Flat. So they remember it, and when they're put in that situation the next time, they seem to thrive better. And ironically, we were preparing for Payne. I said, I remember playing Payne down at Payne, these guys freshman year.
Close game.
Right. And I looked and Tyree made the winning layup. I also told me he also had the turnover the possession before, but he made the winning layup in that game, and Troy played played well. Darren played well. Miguel made 3 threes. Well, they were the role players, and now they're kind of the go-to guys. So it's, during that game, because Payne played phenomenal, Miguel said, we knew they were going to give us their best shot. Yeah. I mean, we knew it. That's the value of having returning players and then getting guys better. They have to get better in their career. And all of them have, no question.
Yeah, so to update viewers who haven't been following closely, that Payne was the most recent game. We won 84-63. In so many ways, it was the most we've been challenged in a long time.
Yeah, and we did not shoot it well, and we've been shooting the ball, as you alluded, at an unbelievable clip. I was getting mad, but after watching a look at the tape, I'm like, okay, these are shots that Troy and Miguel almost always make. And, you get a little three-point happy a little bit. But no, I mean, we know that Columbus and Emmanuel and whoever else we got coming up is going to be a bigger challenge. But we've practiced the right way, and we've had a great practice yesterday. I hope I have another good one today.
The thing is, you watch, from a viewer's point of view, you get used to, we beat Allen by 87 points. We beat, we beat Coastal Georgia 83-56. So I think that's 27. And you go against Payne and it's, single digits at the half, and you're just like, oh, we must be playing poorly. He scored 84 points, and Payne scored 63. They shot 35% from the field. Only one team all season has broken the 70-point barrier. Yep. That's pretty uncommon in college basketball.
Yeah, I put a statistical goal in. When you have a good team, sometimes you have to change some focuses. I said, anytime anybody shoots over 40%, we're going to run the difference. So if you're 23 for 56 and 22 for 56 is going to cause you to be below 40%, we're going to run a sprint. And anytime we got rebound, we're going to run a sprint. So they thought, oh, he's not going to do. So whenever I instituted, we got rebound by 5 that game. I go, we're on the line, we're running. Yeah. I go, we got to set high standards for us, because that's going to help us win these games down the stretch. If you're going to be significant in March, you have to win these games in November and December. And we've been very fortunate. I don't know off the top of my head, I don't think we've ever been undefeated out of league, all my time here, because I've always scheduled hard. And, like Benedict, we beat them. They haven't lost since they played us, and Mount Olive has won 4 in a row, so teams get better. Fayetteville State won last night. The sign of good teams is you get better during the year. And there was a stretch of games where we were winning that we weren't really getting better because we weren't playing as much, but we made up for it in practice.
So if you run on 40% shooting for the other team and getting out rebounded, you said you got out rebounded by 5 one game. I bet you haven't run for the 40% thing yet.
No, yesterday I think they shot 41%, so we ran one sprint.
A team did.
Yeah, and then there was a justification on their part that basket shouldn't have counted at the end of the game, because they care about it. Like, okay, wait a minute now.
Yeah, it was by one shot.
Yeah, it was one. Yeah, we don't want to run, so anything to motivate them. But you have to do those little weird little things sometimes to keep guys focused. But right now, we're good defensively, partly because we have veterans. And then Tyshawn's been contesting shots at the rim, like I have never had anybody, Garrett couldn't do the things he's doing, contesting shots at the rim. Now, we've had different type of shot blockers, but, he's gargantuan in there. He and but like I said, defensively, we've been good, and hopefully we just keep doing it.
Yes. So before we watch the team up close, you mentioned longevity as for yourself, for your profession, longevity and consistency being a focus. It's something I've noticed about you that I'll ask you about, but I also want to relate it to the players. We've said their names, kind of their first names a lot. Before I ask you the question, we'll give a little background. Miguel Arnold is leading the team in scoring with, I think, just under 17 points per game, shooting, I think, 55% from 3. He's a junior, just uncommon the way he shoots the basketball. Tyshawn Crawford, the 7'1" junior, he's averaging 15 points, 8 rebounds a game. Troy Cracknell, the senior, one of the seniors on the team, is a double-digit scorer, as is Darren Lucas White. I call him the 6th starter. He's a 4th-year junior. Tyree Myers leading the team in assists, a real floor general. Jaquez Kirby averaging 10 points a game. He's a freshman out of Murray State. We're going to see all these guys in a second. John Whitehead and David Vitti, producing off the bench, as is Daniel Allen and Timmy Sellers. But when it comes to some of these guys and their production, like Miguel and Tyshawn, for instance, I want to hear about you and them, and then how maybe that gets infectious and you lead your team on a similar path. Consistency with you, like I admire it. If it's a weekday and it's basically 8 a.m. or probably a lot earlier.
Yep.
You know, I know where to find you. And, you know, there's no days off. I'm pretty sure you have a regimented process that you go through every day. And whether it's June or November or May or whatever it is, those actions that you take on a daily basis contribute to that long-term success as a coach, right?
Yeah, I mean, in college coaching, you got to recruit. I don't want to say every day. You don't have to go out, but you have to do something recruiting-wise, a phone call, email, or watching video. Certain times of year, it's more strenuous. So there's a recruiting aspect, and then there's the basketball part. You always have to kind of look at and say, can this help us win? You know, we're running offensively more pour out than we've ran the last couple of years. Some of our little quick hitters we've run for years. You know, we ran something for 7 or 8 years we haven't ran because we don't have the personnel to meet it. We don't say this is what we're going to run. We adapt to our personnel. Obviously, Tyshawn's a big player and he's left-handed. He wants to go over his right shoulder, so we have to put him in that situation to get shots. You know, and we got players that come to the gym. So before I came down here, I'm leaving and Tyree's pulling up and Miguel's pulling up and we're practicing this afternoon because they're regimented to get their shots up. The most difficult thing to do is to get the new players to realize, hey, like these guys are already in the gym this morning shooting and then they're going to come back to practice. Now, we have some guys come in late at night. I don't see them at 10 o'clock at night, but I know some guys come in late at night. You have to have some type of routine to be successful. And the basketball part will take care of itself if you just kind of every day do it. And you're right. I'm fairly routine in that sense. When I get in, I'm going to focus on the things I need to do for the first 45 minutes and then meet with Zach and meet with Lenny and go over, okay, here's what we're doing. You have a pretty good idea on this date when you're going to be practicing. Okay, I'm going to go recruiting on this date. Sometimes you got to go recruiting. You got to put the date down before you find the player you're going to go recruiting. So, you know, we went out whatever night it was, Tuesday night, and then yesterday I got in and I say, we got to make this trip today. So we made it last night, and it's usually more organized that, but sometimes you just got to drop what you're doing and go recruiting.
You're saying you got in about 10:30 last, or 12:30.
12:30 last night.
Yeah, before 8 a.m. interview. Yeah. We appreciate that. Yeah. One story I tell people is, you know, go back to that 2018-19 Peach Belt Championship squad. I think it was 15 straight after a loss at home to our rival USC Aiken. Yep. And I remember that night walking out the back door and you happen to be walking out too, and you said, was that a goaltend on Dean?
Right.
And I showed you the tape, and you looked at it real quick, and you're like, yeah, it was a goaltend, or, you know, something like that. And then you said, I got to go. You know, I'm going to basically Washington, D.C.
Yep.
It was about 10:15 at night, and you were getting in your car to go to Washington, D.C. after that loss. What followed was 15 straight wins. You know, so whether it's a loss, good day, bad day, you got to do the work.
Yeah, you just got to go. I mean, and recruiting is the hardest thing. You absolutely, as a head coach, I've determined I've got to be a presence with it. And, you know, it's good to have good assistants in doing that. And then you have to analyze. Sometimes when you go recruiting, you can really analyze your program because you're in a car for 6 hours by yourself and you write little notes and what you want to work on in practice and some things you want to change. And, you know, defensively, we've changed from last year. From the beginning, we call it shrink. We're more in the gaps. We weren't that way the first 3 years. I just finally said, you know what, we're going to have to do this year. And we've been very fortunate. I think that's helped us defensively, and our guys take a little more pride in being in the gaps. And, you know, some guys want to, you know, guys don't want to get scored on, but there's more to individual defense. There's team rotations, and you know, Tyree texted me last night when I'm coming home. He's like, you need to teach defense rotations to this team because some teams don't believe in it. I kind of believe in it. We're going to get exposed some nights how we play defensively, but this is the commitment we're making. And if you're good defensively, you don't have to play so much in half court. You can get out in the open court. That's why we're scoring so many points, because we're stopping people. Interesting.
So, you know, in the gaps, you know, so you say we'll get exposed. You basically catch and shoot threes. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, we try not to. And one of the toughest things for new players to learn is we're doing things in practice. Okay, yes, you're in the gap, and yes, that's Miguel. You still got to go out there and contest a shot. You know, we don't let him just say, well, you're supposed to stop. No, you got to do both. And, you know, we got 2 or 3 guys that can do it without me teaching them anything. Curb and Darren, Tyree, those guys are phenomenal. Troy. Other guys have got to learn, like, well, I stopped the ball. Well, you know, you're just supposed to poke at it and get back here. And there's a rhyme and reason to it, but we you know, it's hard. It's not easy. Our younger guys don't realize what they have to do defensively. You know, offensively, we're scoring a lot of points and we're really not executing, but it's because we're playing in transition. Just like if you're not shooting the ball well, you're playing transition defense all night. And I've always my goal is always to shoot 50% from the floor. You're not going to do that. 48 for the year is good. That's why our numbers are really high right now. Our 3-point percentage is off the charts. That's not going to stay consistent. I know that, but please take good shots so we give ourselves a chance to shoot good shots.
So I think that's a good way to segue into our final part of the interview. What we're going to do is play 10 minutes worth of footage from the Coastal Georgia game. That was our 2 games ago, playing some incredible looking uniforms. We'll talk about that a little bit, but we beat Coastal Georgia 83-56. Coach talks about the fact that we're not going to shoot that way all the time. Well, in the first half of this game, Coach, Miguel Arnold made 6 out of 7 threes, and Troy Cracknell made 3 out of 4 threes. 9 out of 11 from deep.
Yeah.
Pretty uncommon.
It's a good night. Yeah, it's a good night. Right there, Kirby making an unselfish pass to him. That's a great effort play by Curb. Tyshawn jumping up and getting it. The ball is moving. Okay, Tyree's eyes are always up looking to get somebody a shot. He realizes the guy's playing off him.
He's looked for a shot a little, just a tiny bit. Yep. He's not shooting a lot, but he's taking it when he has it.
That's a great skip pass. Unselfishness is something that starts with your point guard spot. And I always say, let him shoot. Miguel's a great shooter. Troy, if they're open, let it fly, and especially in transition. This is a great possession of being in the gap by Tyree. Darren's probably going to do something crazy. He made it this time. I'm surprised he didn't do something crazy with it. We just move the ball. He's going to be option 1. That's very patient right there. He's got great hands, Tyshawn does. Sets a simple pin down screen for Miguel to make a shot. Great screen by Curb. Timmy, not a great offensive player in there, but a willing passer. Daniel's got the ball. He's a freshman. We want to move that ball a little bit more, but he knows, let me get in there and look for a shooter.
That's on a short shot clock. That's an incredible catch and shoot under pressure.
Yes, I don't know what clips right. Yeah, now Miguel's calling for a ball screen. This is pickup over here when Miguel does this. But when he's feeling it, I kind of give him some freedom, and I'm just like, all right, you're feeling it, Miguel. But you got to give him some freedom. Daniel made a great +1 pass there because I remember we've been telling Daniel he's got to really look for that pass to Troy and Miguel. Defensively, a great close of hand by Daniel up. Even the guy makes a shot. That's okay. His hand is up. Some people are starting to play a little, they play a little zone against us. We weren't really prepared for what they were doing. Great. The same thing. Miguel's hot. Get him the ball. I think Daniel had 3 assists in the first half of that game and no turnovers. Coming in transition. Oh, this is the play.
This is the one you didn't like.
This is bad. That's bad. That one I got yelled at. You don't shoot a ball that's bounced twice, okay? Never. I tell Troy and Miguel don't do that pickup on Friday. But Vidi's, I've always told him to shoot the ball, but that was a little uncalled for.
I got to apologize to David for leaving that one in there.
Yeah. He heard that one. Great unselfish play. That's just 2 guys playing basketball. They're best friends and they great communication.
I think I might have left one more in there for David that I should have taken out.
Miguel playing a little one-on-one defense. Great help by Tyshawn. That contest and Tyree's help down, able to get that rebound. Tyree's always got his eyes up. That's a great pass. Troy was wide open. Tyree also knows Tyshawn hadn't touched the ball. He's got to touch the ball on that possession, Sure, we're doing okay. So they were very patient. Some coaches really want to pressure on. Hey, if we're up, if they want to just take their time, well, I'm okay with that because there's a shot clock in college basketball. And they tried to post Miguel here. I remember that. And Troy's getting ready to be in help. All right, good block out by Troy. Shot goes in. We're not going to stop all of them.
The reason I left that one in there, that shot came at the buzzer of the shot clock.
Absolutely.
So many shots are coming at the buzzer of the shot clock from our opponents.
Right. Well, I just say play solid. In other words, don't gamble. Now, I got 2, Curb and Darren are gamblers to the utmost degree. They're going to gamble. That's Troy. It was a zone offense we're running. He has the freedom to go out. I think we actually hop into a zone here for a couple possessions.
You've played quite a bit of zone
our zone's
this year.
been good. Our zone's been good. I really got to credit, partly because it keeps Tyshawn around the basket, which is important, especially the way the game's played with 3-pointers. Another great pass, by Tyree. I think he misses that one, yeah.
Oh,
Troy was feeling that side. Troy was feeling it. I mean, I don't mind him. You know, you're a good player. Like, that's a great help by Troy. Great help by Darren. And who knows what's getting ready to happen here. All right, so he's going to bring it up. Got fouled. He was going to. I think he's telling him I was going to throw that to Tyshawn. Which
I just think that reminds me of Warriors.
Yes.
Two shooters screening for each other. You know, what do you do defensively? Everybody has to play over the top of it.
Just be unselfish, you know. Ironically, the other day when we didn't shoot it well, Troy took 19 shots. Well, I don't think we had anybody take that many shots, but he was wide open, you know. So, you know, Miguel's being a little lazy here with his hand not being up. But they're, you know, if teams are going to be this patient, I'm okay with that. You know, and then you got Tyshawn down there. He's going to bother things. That's great hands.
That's twice that Darren basically got down to the line of the ball. And
okay, so Miguel wouldn't have made that move last year. Like, he wouldn't have been aggressive. I've been on about getting the free throw line. He needs to complete that, but same thing. He was able to get that pass to Troy. You know, that's a good play for Miguel because he's a shooter. Good bump back. There comes Tyshawn. Going to contest it. He made it hard. Probably should have blocked out, but John's a pretty good athlete. You know, what's ironic is we don't really pride ourselves on being a fast-paced team. We just say on a missed shot, let's push and play. And I give our guys a lot of freedom in transition. No question.
So John makes a three there to make it 46-25 at halftime.
That was a big bucket, too.
Just a flawless first half
really
that
was.
game.
Yeah, we shot it really well. If I remember correctly, we had a high number of assists. You know, we're running something called stay, which means put it down to him. Let him go to work down there. You know, if they're going to play behind him, we have to throw him the ball, you know. Great hands by Curb right there. That's a good play by them. We can get exposed on that. Kirby's a little bit lazy on that one, but he gets the next time. He knew he went to the right spot. He just didn't go fast enough. I do remember that. Well, this is something we run against the zone, and we didn't really execute it real well because it's a play for Miguel to get a shot. And we screened the elbow of the zone. But that's a great play because the guy was playing the play. Same thing, Miguel wouldn't have done that last year. He spends a lot of time in the gym. A lot of time.
Yeah, I joked with him after the game. We'll play the interview later. I tell him this is about the time when he really starts playing, you know, like Steph Curry. I mean, you know, he made the 6 out of 7 threes in the first half. Now he starts doing some stuff off the bounce. That teardrop or floater or whatever you call it was just beautiful a second ago.
Like, we did a really good job, except right at the end of closing out, taking away the corner pass. Great play. That's a great wall up by Tyshawn.
This is kind of the play of the year so far.
Yeah. I mean, 2 blocks, and then, you know, it's good to have a guy who can do that. A great pass. Same thing. Miguel could have shot that. You know, I was at a game last night. I'm like, man, just pass the ball. Guys get mad. They'll run again. Like, when Darren's got the ball, they're going to run. You know, when Tyree's got the ball, they're going to run. Miguel, they think he's going to shoot it, I think. You know? Whenever Miguel's with the ball up top, we're in something we run just to kind of get him a shot.
Yeah.
Curb setting a good screen, and Miguel decides not to use it and fires one up. Great effort by Tyshawn. Tyshawn wouldn't have made that play last year because he's in better shape. He's willing to play through possessions and assist to Tyree. You know, it's an unselfish play by a guy 7 foot.
Sure is. You know, you talk about him touching the ball, needing to touch the ball. So many times he gets it and you know, makes the right play for a teammate.
Yep.
No, they're just change. You know, we can count the change shots.
So I don't like the ball getting the high post against it, but when it's really hard to score over him, we saw some stat where people are like 3 for 25 in that little area against him. It's hard. Now, as we play higher level competition, they'll be able to make some of these. I remember this. We were kind of trying to run motion against the zone. Tyree just plays right in the middle of it. Keeps Tyshawn around the basket.
I left that in there because I remember you talking about getting guys into the middle of the zone. Seems like Tyree has taken to that a little bit.
Yes. The only guy I don't want in the middle of the zone is Miguel because that's not his game. You know, but everybody else should get in the middle of the zone. Miguel and Dan. But Tyree, I love him in the middle of the zone. Love Darren in the middle of the zone. Troy obviously going to give you a shooting threat. Beatty's got to work at that. Curb's pretty good. That's our Z rotation. That's beautiful.
I left that in there because Tyshawn's running around, you know, helping the helper like a guard.
Yep, and that's something we'll work on pretty hard. Not easy to do for him to do.
This is just kind of freak athleticism from Jaguar.
Him and Darren are just, you know, they do things you're like, well, what are they doing out there? This is the play we're running for Miguel because he's running along the baseline.
Oh, this is when he's really feeling it.
Yep. Yeah, this is the same thing. He would not have made that play a year ago. You know, that's just spending a lot of time in the gym. Like, I tell guys that all the time. You got to spend time in the gym. Troy scored like 24 points his freshman year, and now he's all league level player. But he spends time in the gym.
Before him, Tamarick Fields.
Yep. Even Tyshawn, we get him in the gym more. Great block by John.
So I'm gonna ask Dib exactly what made him so mad.
Great screen by Tyree. Tyree takes pride. He always say that he's got a screen and assist, but it's part of being a good player. People don't realize, and like we're trying to get Vidi in the middle of the zone right there. Not really comfortable with it, but he didn't panic with it. That's a great shot for him because he's going forward. Same thing. Great pass by Tyree.
Yeah, Tyree, the simple passes to good shooters, on time, on target.
Yeah.
It can go unnoticed. And a great rebound by your point guard.
Rebound. Yeah, got banged up a little bit. We're actually playing Tyree and Dan together a little bit just because of the situation. Good simple play. Not over dribbling. Just throw the ball. John's made a couple shots. Yeah,
he made 5 threes that game. He's shot the ball well.
Really well. Great play, Darren. Throwing something. Who knows what he's going to do when he gets it often. That was good to get Vidi a dunk,
My son said he broke the rim on that play. I didn't notice until they had to fix it.
Well, and I think the Payne game ran a lob for him. He caught a dunk.
Yeah.
He said it's the first time he's ever ran a lob for him, so he's a very good athlete and a great teammate, man, like unbelievable personality Vidi does.
Transfer from Georgia Southern. Yep. So, Coach, we've got Columbus Monday on the road. You can go to AugustaJags.com, go to the schedule, find where to click on the video. If you don't want to make the trip to Columbus, I'll be making that trip. And then we've got Emmanuel at 2 p.m. on New Year's Eve. And then, if I'm not mistaken, it's January 5th. Opening conference at home against Georgia College.
Georgia College and Young Harris that week. I don't usually look too far past, but I did know we had 2 road games closing out 2021. And I flipped my calendar, and I have a calendar, and I saw Georgia College and Young Harris are the first 2 home games. After that, I really don't pay attention.
Sure. I was just wanting people to know when they can see you in person here in town.
Yeah, I would argue, I don't know the exact records, but Georgia College won last night. So Georgia College, Columbus, and Emmanuel together are like 28 and 26 and 4. So 3 really good teams, and 2 of them on the road. And we'll see if we can keep our defensive intensity on the road. It's always a little difficult. I knew when we had this cushion of games at home, I go, hey, we could have a little stretch here. We play well. And now we get back on the road and play a very, very good Columbus team. Yeah,
those 3 teams, the next 3 opponents, all, like I said earlier, getting votes in the national rankings. We are ranked number 8. Season's really about to heat up. We can't wait to follow you along the journey.
I appreciate it. Go Jags, man.
Okay, so it was a big treat to have Dip Mitras on the show with us here today. We're going to end the show by talking about, some things coming up with high school basketball and highlighting some performances of some individual players in the last week or so that we definitely took note of. So, in high school basketball, since we last saw you, some notable results have been Grovetown last Saturday night beat Thomson, then Thomson was ranked number 5 in Class 3A at the time, beat them 78-68 at home. Darius Reed, the fabulous sophomore, sensational sophomore, scored 20 points in that game. He's a 6'6" wing player, made 4 threes. Excellent player. Since then, North Augusta beat Cross Creek. North Augusta was playing at home. That was Tuesday night. That's a real primetime matchup between 2 ranked teams, one from South Carolina, one from Georgia. Friday night, the big showdown, Westside will host Butler. Westside's the number 3 team in Class 2A. Butler's the number 4 team in Class 2A. Westside's undefeated. We featured them in last week's show. We went through their starting 5 in detail. That'll be just a great game. If you're looking for a great game Friday night, that's the one. Saturday, we'll have Augusta Christian hosting Trinity. Trinity's the defending state champion in Augusta Christian's South Carolina Independent School Association League. They beat Augusta Christian in the semifinals last year. Augusta Christian since then has added a lot of talent. It's a really, really good team. So that's kind of a state championship preview possibly between Augusta Christian and Trinity on Saturday night. And then another one Saturday night is Thomson going going to Warren County in a bloodthirsty rivalry. Thomson, a top 10 3A team, Warren County, a top 10 1A team. But, rankings, records, all that stuff can be thrown out the window when Thomson and Warren County go at it. So those are some fun games. And then over the holidays, Grovetown and Evans will play in the Lemon Street Classic. Cross Creek and Augusta Christian will play in the KC Roundball Classic. All those are the week before Christmas. Then there'll be more tournaments between Christmas and New Year. There's all kinds of stuff to keep track of. I'll do my best to inform you of what's going on and cover as much of the action as possible. And you can find that coverage at AUG B-Ball on social media. So at AUGBBALL on social media. So keep up with that. Now, on the way out, we're going to give you some individual performances that you can look at. So, here's a segment where we feature Miguel Arnold, the junior leading scorer for Augusta University. We showed it earlier, his shooting and scoring display against Coastal Georgia. It was something to behold. Scored 25 points in that game, was 6 for 7 from 3 in the first half, made some incredible shots in the second half. Miguel shooting 55% from the three-point line. So when I interviewed him after the game, I asked him about, he had told me earlier in the season that when he misses a few shots, he just keeps shooting because he listens to guys like Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson saying, you got to keep shooting. He told me that. So I asked him after this game, forget the advice from Steph Curry. You're starting to play like Steph Curry, when it comes to shooting from deep and the various shot-making plays that he made against Coastal Georgia and that he's been making this season. So let's cut to that segment where we focus on Miguel, and then we'll come back with a couple high school players on the other side.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, bro.
Okay, Miguel.
They say to keep shooting the ball, and that's what my teammates keep telling me as well, so that's what I do all the time. It doesn't matter, it doesn't go in. I know I work hard enough. I get in the gym every day, so I believe my shot's going in. I just keep shooting the ball.
It works for your opponent. And unreal is the answer.
You might follow Steph Curry's advice, but you're also starting to look like him out there. Talk about, the overall scoring game.
I mean, I'm trying. I work on my game. I don't want to only shoot threes. I work on my game all around. I'm trying to get better. That's what I do every day, and it's paying off. So I'm going to keep working hard and keep getting it done. So when I work out, sometimes I don't even shoot threes at all. I just focus on finishing, driving the ball so I can get that in the game. And in practice, sometimes I don't even shoot threes. I just go to the basket and try to get better at that because we can get whatever we want out here, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay, so now we're going to do a couple high school players. We're going to start with Rico Gonzalez. Rico's a star senior at Lakeside. We tend to talk about the Westsides, the Butlers, the Grovetowns, the Augusta Christians, the Thompsons, the Cross Creeks, the North Augustas, the teams that are ranked in the state. They're kind of, winning brings attention. But there are teams also that aren't, that are trying to find their way, that have players who are playing winning basketball and leading, and Rico Gonzalez is one of those guys. So Lakeside was trailing Aquinas last Thursday by 13 points in the second half. The Panthers came all the way back for a victory, and Gonzalez was a huge part of it. He scored 29 points that game. We also featured him at Augusta University against Greenbrier when he led the Panthers to a 50-48 win over Greenbrier, scored 31 that game. And then in a game that we didn't feature, but we've talked about here on the show, he scored over 30, I think it was 34, against Harlem and made the game-winning shot in that game. So here's our interview with Rico after the Aquinas game when he talks about, being a senior leader and doing what it takes to help his team get wins. Okay, Rico, big time comeback tonight, and you led the way with 29 points. You're a senior. What was going through your mind as you got down big and as you made that huge comeback?
We were down. Our coach, he told us at halftime if we really wanted this. He said if we really want it, we'll come out there with energy and get the win. So that's what we did. We came out with energy, played hard, and we came back.
Yeah, now I've seen you now twice, a huge game and a win at Augusta University over Greenbrier. I know you had a big game and a big finish against Harlem. You're making the most out of your senior year.
Yeah, I'm working hard every day. Like, that's the reps, drill work before the game. It's hard work, and it's paying off.
Your senior guard, Rico Gonzalez, he's been a producer for years now. He's really turned up, his production here this season as a senior. Talk about his leadership and his play so far this season.
Players make plays. That's what we tell them. We tell them players make plays, and every game this year, it's what he's done. He's stepped up. He's a senior leader. He knows when he's needed, and he makes plays happen, and that's what players do. The kid's just a player and a great leader.
Finally, let's take a look at Darius Reed. I talked about him earlier, the 6'6" sophomore. He's got scholarship offers from several high major schools already. He's, just loaded with potential. He, as you'll see in these clips, he can shoot from three as well as score at the rim. He makes an impressive play where he catches the ball in transition, doesn't dribble, it goes right up for the dunk. You'll see him making three-pointers. This team, Grovetown, is now ranked in the state. Should have been long ago, but now they are. And this team is excellent. They've only lost one this season against a high-powered private school. They've beaten all their opponents here, and Thomson was the latest victim. Here's Darius Reed in action. Another player who has really lit the scoreboard up this season is Cam Parada, a sophomore out of Aquinas. Aquinas has struggled somewhat. They're going to get some players back who have been out for some time. They're going to get some players back real soon, and that team will, probably take a step forward. But Cam Parada has been amazing. He made 4 out of 5 threes against Lakeside, and then 6 out of 7 in a win over Lincoln County, scored 37 points against Lincoln County. Here's Cam Parada in action against Lakeside. Watch the incredible shooting touch and the lightning quick release. Okay, so that was a sample of some of the individual performances from around town, from our high school players. You saw Miguel Arnold as well, the most impressive scorer around because he plays for, where they play the best basketball in town, Augusta University. And I hope you enjoyed the in-depth discussion with Dip Mitras. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, share it, tell people about it, and come back for episode 7. Next week, episode 7 of the Augusta Sports Report.